So I just finished Dread, and you're on the final boss, so you're about to beat it.
Yep.
When I beat it, though, I went back to just going to go play whatever I was previously playing, and I just couldn't. I was just kind of like, yeah, I can't really do this. I just got to take a break from whatever. I even tried playing something completely separate. It was like a Back for Blood, and it's still just like, I can't. One, my hands hurt. Physically, I'm in too much pain. That boss I spent close to an hour on. And
have you been playing handheld?
Day, my hand's pulsing. Look, listen. So I'm closing my hand, right? Like this. In my hand, I can feel it pumping.
Wow.
Still, I'm like, God.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
No, I'm not playing. Well, yeah, actually, I was playing handheld towards the end there. And then I eventually okay, I can't do this, and went and used like a regular controller because so I was I was still dying left and right, but you can be a little better if you use like a pro controller compared to
that's what I've been using on the TV, and then when handheld, I've been using that grip, and I haven't had any problems like that. And I suspect it has something to do with that. Like my hands have not bothered me at all playing, but it used to when I didn't have the grip, like the Satisfy grip. But man, that thing makes long.
But even when I was using the controller, I mean, it's just so because with Metroid you have to hold so many buttons. I got to shoot my missiles, but I also need to do the lock on thing. You're holding 2 or 3 buttons at a time at all times.
Yep.
Trying to do whatever.
Hold
plus
R.
jumping while holding and shooting your missiles.
Well, I'm trying to think. You hold R to start charging your missile. You're moving with the joystick. You're jumping with A. And then you're aiming to lock all the missiles. Then you're letting go. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yes. And
but man, what a game!
That boss destroyed my hand. I feel like I got blisters on my fingers. Like the bigger thing is just like it's just hard to enjoy something because it was such a big impact on my brain just as a whole on how just I don't know the impression it left on you because it was that good of an impression, and it's hard to like okay, well. I can't really enjoy anything in the moment. I guess I gotta just kind of take a break.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm trying to think on previous games that had that same feeling with me. It's been a while, But again, like you were saying with Nier did do that to me. And it took me a while before I could enjoy something again.
Right. I get it. I think that Metroid is. If someone said that, like you just did, I could totally get it because man, it's really
so much
really well
fun.
done.
Yeah.
And it's like the kind of game that sometimes I find myself, even with a good game, I find myself looking online and like, how much do I have left before I'm done? Is there something big that happens next? Like not story wise. Am I going to this new area next? Like Metroid, I was so engrossed in it.
Is story is what usually impacts me with this thought. This is one of the few times where, gameplay made me feel this way.
Couldn't believe that Mercurys Team, they didn't have some like super amazing reputation before this. They made the remake, but then they made that really, I don't call it crappy, but I know a lot of people do, that Castlevania 3DS game that I thought was okay. A lot of people hated it though. Right.
Yeah.
But they were not, I would not expect this level of quality from them, put it that way. But man, it's something
maybe
else.
They got more of Nintendo's help than we thought, or maybe they actually did step it up. I don't know.
Could be. I think that this game is a game where if you're someone who looks at a 2D game, you're like, well, why is that game worth the $60? This game will show you why. Because to me, this is more quality than games.
That is a debate right now. I don't know if you saw that. It is. Yeah.
I personally don't really agree with the debate. I think that if a game is well made, this game is like 10 to 12 hours long, first time through.
We'd been debating this for how long? Come on, dude.
I mean,
if a game's good, a game's good. Like
that's how I feel.
Not worth $60. I don't care if it's 3 hours long. I don't care if it's 50 hours long. If it's quality, I mean, it deserves whatever they want to charge. I mean,
and it doesn't. And it isn't even a short game if you want to go that route. It's not. It's a long game. It has replayability, a lot of replayability actually.
Yeah. I immediately wanted to replay it, but I was like, no,
too many other games. Yeah.
I'm hurting though over any like I immediately wanted to play again, but my hands were hurting too much. But even right now, I'm like, I kind of want to play it over just playing what I was playing. Like I want to replay it on hard
mode. Yeah. Yep.
See how that is because it was so fun.
Well, let's talk about that now. So there's also, not only was there a debate with, is this game worth $60? That was one. The second one that I heard was people saying the game is too hard. Now, Me personally, you know how I feel about that. I don't think, even if the game was brutally hard, I would still be okay with it. But I don't think it's brutally hard. I think it requires way more concentration than a lot of other games, and I think you need to it's the difference between you can just cruise through the game.
Apply it to another skill. What else could you just be like? Hey, this is too difficult for me to achieve. Can you make it easier so I can accomplish it? Think about anything else in life.
I mean,
you can't really, like, why are you even expecting that? Just do other things. If it's too much for you, there's plenty of other things you can do. It's hey, I can't drive trucks well, but I still want to be a truck driver.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, well, we're going to let you do it anyway. And if you kill someone.
Well, in real life, if you wanted to drive a truck and you felt it was too hard to learn, you would go get yourself a car. So why do you expect that the game should? And this is the same argument they have every time From Software releases a game. It's the same old. And then they conflate accessibility for like people who have handicaps with the game being too hard when those are not the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Halo Infinite has these options for like colorblind and things like that. That's not the same as saying the game is too hard, you know?
Or like a controller to where you don't have like pressure sensitive controller where you don't have to apply as much pressure or a way to move a joystick without normal stuff like that. That's accessibility things. Like
they're different. They're different things.
It's not changing the mechanics of the game or something. I don't know.
Right. Can you imagine this game where you're fighting that final boss, let's say, you had unlimited missiles or something, or you have 10 extra energy packs. Like it would just break the game. Like if you want more energy packs, go use your abilities and go search for more missile packs. That's all you got to do, or energy packs. You can make the game easier if you want. But I personally love when games have no difficulty option because you're playing the game as the way they intended it. That's personally how I feel about it.
That's another cool thing too. Is that's one of the best things. If I start up a game and I'm not picking a difficulty option, because once you're picking a difficulty option, it makes me worried. Now, maybe they did it way better, but usually it just means, okay, well, easier, they have less health and I have more health, or now hard, it's vice versa. If you're going to do easy, medium, and hard, you need to actually change the AI of the monsters to be more aggressive or less aggressive, stuff like that.
And they never do it. It's always just bullet sponges, turn it up and they take 27 hits now instead of 5 hits. That's why I like when
even Halo, like when you play it on Legendary, now they're just bullet sponges. Like
I can't stand that. It's like the most annoying thing. That's why I love you designed the game this way. By the way, there was another boss that I thought was incredibly hard. The only one in the game that gave me a ton of trouble, besides this final one, probably.
Yeah.
It was that experiment one. He's like in the background, this big like monster thing, and as you fight him, he eventually
he changes the form.
I think so.
About like one form second, then third?
No, not that one. There's another one before that where when you hit him enough, he takes his 4 tentacles and he puts them on the 4 edges of the screen. You have to shoot them all out. I
remember. Yes.
That one was pretty tough. I thought it was a fun fight though. Like I finished the fight and I'm like, wow, that was a lot of fun. It was challenging.
I felt each boss, they did a really good job. Every time they got a little bit harder and a little bit harder. None of it felt the other way around. So we played millions of video games, I feel. Anyway.
Sure.
But there will be certain bosses that are harder and easier than others as you go through the game. This really did feel like the perfect incline of like,
agreed.
Okay, a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder.
And they had such cool mechanics that it wasn't a boss fight where it is in a lot of other games where, okay, you figure it out in about 5 seconds and then you just, maybe you die once, then you beat them. This game, I feel like, you really have, it's like a puzzle, you got to figure out how to take him out. What do you have to do to remove that shield from the soldier who charges at you? Oh, I broke his shield. I can actually shoot him now. And I just love how you had to really think a lot.
What's funny is I never even broke his shield. I always just started. I jumped up and cart. Yeah.
That other guy you were talking about though, the dude who grows twice into his 3 forms.
Yeah.
I walk in there, I shoot him, he dies.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah,
I know. The second time he comes out, I'm like, all right, I got this. I'm like doing a screw attack in the corner, shoot him. Then when the third one came out,
changes.
Oh my god! Third one came out, I'm like, what the heck? This guy kills me at like half a hit. But eventually, it wasn't really a problem. But man, I know we've played a million games of Metroidvania genre where you get a new ability, you go back, but Metroid really does do it the best. It's like It's
and I
not
was
even
worried
close.
too because we haven't had a last one since GBA days, right? So we had that other M, but it was kind of whatever anyway. Most people
it was more of a
ignore
3D
it.
game. Yeah.
Now all of these games that came out that are crazy good, getting like tents from a ton of people, including
Ori and
me.
Hollow Knight and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then so it's like, okay, can they really top those games at this point?
Right.
Because it's been so long. They throw their best at it. Can it even be as good as these others at this point? It's not like it's better or worse, but it's almost like no one's been able to do what they exactly do. It still feels very unique in Metroid. No other games really feel like that. So it's still an experience you can only get through it. So it's still really cool because of that.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is the third complaint I heard about this game, because this game was full of complaints, although on the other side, you had a ton of people who loved it. The third complaint was the Emmys, right? A lot of people were very upset. They felt it wasn't fair.
I was worried about that in the beginning.
When I first saw it, I was a little worried. But the more I went on, I realized, number one, the story in this game implies that these guys are supposed to be extremely hard. Like the fact that you can barely dodge them, that's by design, right? Although I did get a little better at doing it eventually. But anyway, the thing I like is when I think of games like Resident Evil 2, where you have Mr. X always following you, always, even in the safe areas, that bugged me after a while, you know? This game, it didn't really bother me because, number one, they're clearly defined areas, number one. And number two, as you get further in the game, you get more abilities to help you, get away from them. Yes, did I die to them a few times? Sometimes, sure. But it never got to the point where I was like, this is cheap, or I hate it, or it's driving me crazy, And when you would have to blast the enemies after, I love that part. That was like a cool puzzle to figure out. How can I have enough room to
I definitely died multiple times to like a new one because they had even more challenges compared to the last one and all that. And it took some learning. But it's like okay to die. It's almost like I hate to throw Dark Souls into this, but everyone when they play that, they are expecting to die and retry and learn from it.
Right.
But that's what video games as a whole, ever since the 80s or 70s, have taught us is like, hey, don't worry about dying. It's cool. You're playing Mario for the first time and you're freaking go. There's this crazy jump you didn't expect till you're already there and you die, you restart, you go again, you learn from it. I mean, that's just... You have to be okay with dying. I think a lot of times nowadays people get way too discouraged way too quick.
Yeah, agreed.
They don't want to press forward. And like the only way you're going to learn is like through mistake, right?
Right. That like the boss I just got to, the final boss. I tried him. He did some move. I had no idea what to do. And then before I died, I figured that one part out. And then I died. I was like, okay, now I know. This ball he shoots at me, I got to take it out, And I just can't say enough good things about this game. Definitely. I didn't expect it, honestly. I didn't expect the game to be probably in my top games of the year. I thought it was going to be a good game, but I didn't think it was going to be this good, So, man.
Again, awesome it's so good that it like shook me and made me be like, man, it's going to feel weird playing other stuff now. But is there any other game that you could think of that like kind of did this, what I'm talking about here, to where it's kind of hard to play at something afterwards?
Sure. So the two games that come to mind is obviously Nier is one. Both Nier games, I'll say. They both got me like that. And then also Final Fantasy VI also made me feel that way, where I feel like, man, other games just don't feel this good, I loved Metroid Dread, but no, I won't say that it made me feel that way in particular, although I did absolutely love it. Man, are there any other ones that
I didn't feel that until I actually like rolled credits and then it sunk in. And then
who
I was
knows?
like, wait,
who knows then?
I think it was also because of that final boss, because before him, I wasn't feeling that. But when you spend, I was trying to record me fighting the boss or whatever and upload it, but it literally hit like 45 minutes and I'm like, forget it. I just stopped the recording and I eventually beat him. Like, it could have been even slightly over an hour, but
gotcha.
When it was all of that, and then you get this crazy epic ending thing, and then the credits roll and all that.
I can't wait.
Fuck. Okay.
There's some story stuff
here.
Yeah, there's some cool story stuff going on right now. As I went into this fight, I'm sure there'll be a little more at the end. So, definitely solid game. If you can't tell, we like this game for sure. So, Did you see? Wait, one last thing though. Did you see David Jaffe complaining about Metroid Dread? Did you see this?
Yes, and I actually really like Jaffe.
I like him too, but
I was really
the
disappointed. I'm
complaint
like,
is
come on.
so silly. Like,
Did
really,
you see a video of like them editing him with other people playing? Okay,
no.
so someone took the clip from him saying like, "How would I know to shoot from up above?" Right,
Right, right,
but it clearly has enemies right above the
right above
line.
you. Yep.
And every other player, whether they played Metroid or not, like they
Right,
were showing other people that were saying during the video, "Hey, I never really played a Metroid before," but they still figured it out like within like 3 seconds.
right.
Because
It's not that
again,
crazy.
it's almost like a visual cue. It's so
Sure.
thin of a thing, and there's monster crawling left and right and trying to
Right.
shoot at you or whatever.
Yep.
And it's clearly trying to get you to shoot them because usually, oh, I know what it was. It was those things that target you, and then you have to counter.
Oh, yep.
And they kept trying to do it, but there was a thing in between
Oh my
trying to
God.
get you to shoot it so you could clear it so it could dart. Right. So
Yep.
I don't know. It was given a lot of clues.
The game
And
is very well designed in that way, and
yeah.
it's not anyone who calls that bad design. It's just, and it's surprising because David Jaffe literally has designed video games, so
Yeah.
you would
It's
think
trying
he
to
could understand.
teach you how to play. It's like the
Right.
beginnings, and it's trying to get you to understand, hey, there's going to be blocks that you got to shoot through.
Right.
And here's a really simple example because it's going to get harder later on.
Yep.
And he didn't even pick up on the simple. So I don't know.
And he has played Metroid games. He said he has. So if you've played a Metroid game, you know, and if you've played a Zelda game, a 2D Zelda or top-down Zelda game or anything, you know, you have to be looking at everything.
You gotta push a random block. You gotta blow up a random hole in a wall. How would you know? Well, because they taught you in a really simple example in the beginning of the game that you do have to bomb a wall somewhere, right? Like,
it just baffles me. But I will say that not just about Metroid, but it seems like every like first party IP that Nintendo puts out on Switch does way better. So I really hope this game will sell way better than the past.
So hold on, let's go into that. Let's go into that. So very first story here, it's Metroid series in Japan. Okay.
Yep.
So Dread is already about to outsell every other Metroid game in its very first week.
It looks like it already has, besides Fusion and
Fusion,
Hunters.
I think that's it. Okay, yeah.
Yep, that's it.
In total sales, and this is the first week because like Metroid Fusion, it got 49 first week, got 155,000 total. It's at 86,000, and there's every other Metroid, like Metroid Other M75, Metroid Prime 78. 74 from Prime 3. All of these games, Zero Mission, 85 total. It already beat Zero Mission in total sales at 86 its first week. Yep. So what I'm saying is it is actually selling well.
Yeah.
And this is Japan. The numbers are going to be way lower because it's a way smaller country than the United States, obviously.
Right.
We do know off of this, and if we can apply it to the numbers to the United States, which we'll see numbers here real soon, I feel it's going to sell well. It's getting marketed really well. I am seeing it all over like Facebook, YouTube.
It's only been a week, too.
Ads.
I wonder how well it will go total, as we go on.
To where Nintendo is like, okay, we'll finally actually really pour more energy into it again.
Right.
Because I do feel bad for them. Because I get it. They made all these Metroid games for like first 10, 15 years, and none of them sell, and they keep pouring all of this energy into it. And they're like, God, like we really should just do other things. And so they do, and those games sell. And it's like, it's hard to expect anybody to keep making a product that nobody seems to want.
Right.
And you still are one of the few wishing they would. Like, yeah, but you can't expect them to if they don't think people want it.
Right. No, it sucks, but I really hope, again, this is the start, because every Switch entry of some series, it like blows all the other ones out of the water. So hopefully that's the case here again. So we'll see.